Hospitality Meets is brought to you by RotaCloud, the simple workforce management software for hospitality teams. RotaCloud lets you create and share rotas, record attendance, and manage your team's annual leave, all in less time than it takes to make a brew. It can also make life easier for your staff, allowing them to check their rotas, request holiday, and even pick up extra shifts, all through the RotaCloud mobile app. Start your 30-day free trial today by visiting rotacloud.com/Phil and find out how much easier managing your team can be. Welcome to Hospitality Meets with me, Phil Street, where each week we take a light-hearted look into the stories and individuals that make up the wonderful world of hospitality. Today's guest is Michelle Moreno, founder of QAB Leadership and Monumental Hospitality Livewire. Coming up on today's show, Michelle tells us the singing capability of whales.
Like everyone's like Celine Dion, male or female.
We get a new first for the show.
Well done for comparing Cardiff to Mauritius, by the way.
And Michelle tells us that stars can turn up at any time.
No one was paying attention to realise that Sarah Jessica Parker was standing in the restaurant.
All that and so much more as I chat through Michelle's extraordinary journey so far. This chat is absolutely electric from the get-go as Michelle really brought her A-game on energy and she's got a hell of a story to boot. So please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like and a share wherever you can. Enjoy. And a gloriously magnificent Hospitality Meets welcome to Michelle Moreno.
Hello, how are you, Phil?
I'm awesome. And that might be the most energetic start to any episode I've ever had. So you have now got the bar is set. So you have to stay there for the whole of the conversation now.
I apologise. Let's do it.
Let's bring it back down a little bit. Yes, yeah. No. How are you anyway? What's new in your world?
Do you know what? It's been considering like I'm all at like end of Q1. And it's been a great start of the year, like really good work with good people. And I think spring's in the air. Had a glorious day yesterday. So yeah, life's feeling hopeful, I think is a really nice way of putting it. I think
Nice.
with that 5 years of COVID and things, like it feels like a cycle sort of ending and a new one's coming. And I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, I love
And
that.
you?
Yeah. Oh, I'm totally on board with that, and I love the sort of the principle that that 5 years. It's literally almost 5 years to the day, right? Since the COVID times, we'll call them, and so basically now it feels like they should be consigned into history, right? It's a history lesson now rather than a present lesson.
Yeah. And I think because it's sort of dragged on so long, I think it's really hard for us to sort of think it's been 5 years, but it has been. And I think at some point you're right. We need to like take the wisdom of it and go forth with whatever madness is coming our way.
Yes, that sounds like a great mantra to move forward with. So just tell the world what it is that you do.
So I have a company. I'm founder of a company called QAB Leadership, and we.
How do you say that quickly, Michelle?
I was not a brand expert, yes, and I worked for a company for 15 years called TGP, and I didn't think it through. I thought it'd be like a bit of a take piss, I'll call it QAB. But I didn't realise that there's a vowel in the letter. So actually, nobody knows how to say it. And when you say it quickly, it sounds like crap leadership because people go crap leader, but they stumble over it as well. So everything about
Right.
it wasn't like a Nike just do it moment. But there we go. I
Well,
think people.
it's reverse genius is what it is, because it gets people talking about you, and so you might think I'm not a branding expert, but maybe secretly you are.
Maybe deep down. And there's part of me where people are like, you should just change it to Michelle Moreno because everyone knows me through myself. And there's part of me that I just want to cling on to it and be like, well, I don't mind. I think not being perfect is a good way to be in life. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not really that worried about it. So
Yeah. Well, and equally, I suppose if you're, I'm just making assumptions into one of the fact, given the name, that you do some leadership training or development or something along those lines, that actually showcasing imperfection is part of leadership, surely.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, because the company's based around, we work with senior leaders or founders, quite a lot of entrepreneurs. And I would like to think of myself as like a fixer. So I don't do anything cookie cutter. I go in, we have a conversation, is there connection? And then I'm fundamentally going to help you all develop your business moving forward quite a lot through people. And then we sort of have a toolbox of how that could be used. It could be strategy sessions, it could be workshop, it could be leadership skills that are missing, it could be coaching one-on-one. Though the goal of it is we understand where your pain point is and how we can move that forward, or I help you understand what you don't know is your pain point and help you move it forward.
Right. Yeah. Very valuable, one would imagine.
And fun, that's the other goal, is that, we're a long time dead, so let's make this work as doable and as not even fun as in let's all skip through it, but definitely in terms of where's the value in learning and how can we, all bring some perspective to it so it doesn't feel so heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board. I mean, and I just have the impression from you that fun is never too far away, to be honest.
I do not take I am not someone who takes myself too seriously. Not like you be serious when you need to be,
Yes.
but not in terms of fun. Yeah, I am. I like a giggle.
Yes, totally. And this has actually turned into one of the accidental taglines of the show is that hospitality is a place where you can build an incredibly serious career whilst having an awful lot of fun. And the two don't have to be mutually exclusive, right? They can absolutely coexist.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Say that again. Repeat it back. What did you just say?
I don't know if I can. That might have just been a moment of genius. So
we had it.
Hospitality is somewhere where you can build a very serious career whilst having an awful lot of fun.
And that is why we do it.
Yep.
I think we get to be part of making memories for people. And I think at this moment in time, a bit of escapism for people. And because we get to have these friendships for so many years and things, we get to, enjoy ourselves along the way and keep learning, which is a key part of life.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, well, we just got straight into this today, didn't we, really? But I'm going to, before we'll come back to crap leadership later. I probably should tell them the real name at some point, but we'll get back into that later, because what I really want to do is kind of explore the journey to that point. How did you get there in the first place? So take us all the way back to the beginning of your career. What attracted you to hospitality in the first place?
I needed a job to stay in London, so I thought I was going to be the next Elaine Page on the West End. And
oh, we have to maybe not bust, maybe just confirm a myth here. Is everybody in Wales a singer?
Oh, I do think we're not as good as the Filipinos. Have
Okay.
you ever been like?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I've worked on ships for 5 years, and we had a load of Filipino guys and gals, and every time it was karaoke night in the crew bar, you were like, God, this is like watching a television program.
They are. It seems like there's something in the waters. I think like everyone's like Celine Dion, male or female.
Indeed.
Like it's magical. Though I think everyone does like singing, and though also because we're Welsh, I do think it's something that sticks with us when we're young, and then because we all like to drink and partied hard, by the time we get to my age, you've got about 2 notes left in you, but you still love a good sing song.
The vocal cords are shot.
Yeah, are gone. 3 on a good day.
Yeah. So yes, you went to London, where the streets are paved with gold, of course, and to pursue a West End dream.
Yeah, so I was already in London studying performing arts, and then so I had to get a job, and they would get the stage newspaper was you'd get auditions.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Yeah, I know. You'd go collect your paper, like I think on a Thursday, and you would go through your auditions, and there was an advert for Asia to Cuba, which I didn't know what it was. So I ended up going to this. It was what I didn't realize at the time. It was a pre-opening of St. Martin's Lane Hotel, and Asia de Cuba was the restaurant inside it. There was St. Thames was a restaurant, Asia de Cuba was a restaurant, and the light bar was going to be where all the sexy people were. And interestingly, totally inappropriately, they literally looked at you, asked you to say one sentence, and then pointed you in a direction. So anybody that was half attractive was going straight forward to the light bar.
Right.
They realised I had a personality, so I was sent off left to Asia de Cuba, and my friend was sent towards cocktail waitress, and I was going, did they just basically tell me I wasn't attractive enough? And she went, yes. So
Charming.
charming. And so then I went to an interview. I think a month later, and I said, "What's the job for?" And they said to be a waitress, and I went, "I know nothing about food, drink. Like, my mother burns food. We weren't brought up that way." And they said, and I can remember Jo Leonard. She went to me, "You'll do fine." And then I got a letter in the post saying, "This is your start date, August 16th, 1999." I remember it clearly because that was the day my life changed. And I went in, I started the pre-opening. I had the time of my life. I always say this, the first person I served, the very first person I served was Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, it was just,
Oh my God.
yeah, I elbowed him in the stomach. It was not a good look. I was
On
shocking.
purpose.
No, just because I was shit. I was shocking. That was absolutely terrible. Terrible. I think I would have been one of them people, like in the first month, they were A, B, C in the team, and there was probably a load of classic people saying she's a C, she needs to go. And someone in that management team went, "I think she's got something in her. I think we should give her more of a
A
chance."
chance.
And luckily they did. And then weirdly, my whole career became opening restaurants. That's how, and around the world. So I've been very, very lucky. Had the time of my life, worked my tits off, all of the above, and really built a career through opening restaurants for whether it was hotel groups, founders, entrepreneurs around the world. So it's been a blast.
Yeah. Well, I'm not letting you off the hook that easy. We're going to have to cycle back a little bit here and explore some things. But at what point did it become apparent to you that, oh, this could be quite cool actually, as a kind of a direction to go, rather than I suppose the pursuance of the original dream?
I don't think there was a conscious decision. I think at some point, maybe 10 years in, I reflected back and realized, okay, there was a sliding doors moment on that August 16th that I didn't realize had changed everything. I think I was just loving it. So I don't think there was a choice. It didn't feel like I have to choose one or the other because I was enjoying it so much. I was living a life I'd watched on the telly. So and it was the days where everyone, you didn't pay for anything, so you'd go out and bottles of champagne would just turn up. I couldn't spell champagne. I still hadn't realised there was a G in it. I was just
The silent letters.
it's
Michael
like,
McIntyre did a sketch on that recently, didn't he?
oh, he did the wine one. I love that one actually. Very good. It took me years to be able to spell restaurants. I couldn't get the U in
Oh,
restaurant.
I still can't do entrepreneur. I cannot spell entrepreneur to this day. Every single time the red line comes under it when I'm typing it out, and I go, "What have I done this time?"
There's people laughing because everyone's the same. No one can spell entre. I always got like entrepreneur. Like
Yeah,
if
I'm like,
try.
it looks right. What's wrong with it? But yeah, anyway, yes.
uh, and so I think, and I was learning so much. Like I didn't realize how much I was going to enjoy learning about wine, learning about cocktails, learning about food, learning about ingredients, learning about what hospitality meant. And I think because especially in my waitressing days and things, it was just a performance. Every single table was an audience to read, understand, work out, and I loved all of that. And we were just having the time of our lives as a group anyway. So I don't think there was a moment where I thought there's a choice. I think I just followed my heart very much so. I'm not indecisive as a character. I'm pretty confident at making decisions, and if it's something feels good, I stick with it and I work hard and I nurture it. And I think I just understood without it being at all conscious that this was where I was meant to be and this is what I was actually going to be really good at, and go for it. And that I did. I buckled up and went, let's take every bloody opportunity this can give me. And that's what I did.
Yeah, that's so cool. Just as well because it's almost like there's not necessarily a plan at this stage. There's just the moment that you're in, and it's like, well, this is cool, and I'm enjoying this. So let's just kind of see where it takes us. Until one point you wake up and you go, actually, I'm pretty much on a path now.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the world is your oyster. And I think the world actually was your oyster in your journey, because you have done some stints overseas as well. It was a great segue, wasn't it? That was
Oh,
almost like
very good. Smooth.
yeah, it's
Smooth
almost like I know
still.
what I'm doing.
Yeah, very good
God,
skills.
don't tell anyone that. That's
Yeah, I think I was lucky. I got with my head chef of Asia de Cuba, as every good waitress did in them days, um, and he that's the truth. He
Oh,
had been
I think it's the way
offered,
of truth.
yeah, he had been offered executive chef of Nobu in Shanghai, and so he
Wow.
was like, "Shall we go?" And I was like, "Yeah, no problem." And we were engaged. No, we were just living together, I think, at that point. And we were supposed to move to Shanghai, and SARS hit, and so
My God.
everything was on hold to go to Shanghai. This was in 2003. And so they said there's a possibility of doing a deal with Greek brothers, and would we go to this island called Mykonos for the summer to do a test run of, it was Matsuhitsu then because it was a test run, not Nobu, and to see how the relationship would go. And we did on 2003. We'd never heard of Mykonos. We had no idea what was going on. I think unless you were in the gay community or you were like a rich Athenian, I don't think many people at that stage really knew what Mykonos was. Or you were on the travellers. The Australians and New Zealanders who did all the Greek islands at that time.
Yeah.
So
God,
we went.
it's changed a little bit now.
Oh my God, it was
Jeez.
glorious. It was
Yeah.
glorious. Uh, so we went, yeah, no problem at all. And so we went along, and he was working, not me, and they were having a challenge because they took over an existing team, and they had a challenge of getting the buy-in from the team. And the openings manager for Nobu said, "Will you come in and just help for a few nights to get it going?" And I was like, and I knew a lot of friends in London Nobu at the time because we were in the same Asian world, I suppose, in restaurants. And I went, "I don't want any responsibility." I went, "I'll just come in and help out." And then I think within the week, he went, "I'm going back to London, you take over." So I took over there. And that just how it went on. And then once we did the season there, they had done, so for the partnership to work for the year, they needed a summer season and a winter season. So then they were going to trial out in St. Moritz, a winter season of it in St. Moritz. And so they said, "Will you go to St. Moritz from there?" So we went from there to St. Moritz and then did the next season there with them. And so yeah, it was it wasn't a challenging time, to be fair. It did feel, once you knew the knowledge, and because it was so busy, it was quite consistent. And the business people took care of the business side. So your job was hospitality, training the floor and making sure all the guests were okay. So it really, and wonderful people doing great things along the way. It was superb. I enjoyed every moment.
Right. Yeah. And what was your official job title at this point? What were you doing?
I think I would have been called restaurant manager.
Right.
Yeah, I think I would have been restaurant manager because they were like departments within hotels. I was never good at pushing for job titles, so whatever they wanted to call me, I assume that's what I was called.
But I like that because that's, I think there's a lot made of titles, right? But in the end, it's what do you do? What is the thing that you do all day, every day? And that's way more important than a job title, I think. But maybe I'm wrong, stupid. Well, probably both of those things. But
Ah, look, I understand that if people are thinking about their career and CVs or what says on LinkedIn, I understand the value of it, and maybe I was naive at times to it, though I never needed it for my ego or my job. And I don't think, like you were saying earlier, I never really thought it through. I wasn't strategic about my career, so I never needed to think, what do I need to have in place? I always got jobs because of people knowing who I was and what I could deliver, so it never became a big issue for me. So I never hung on to it.
yeah, still just go with the flow, enjoy what you're doing, and see what happens next.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, and that's probably a bit of how my life has planned out.
Yep, we are cut from the same cloth.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. So what happened next after San Moritz?
Well, Nobu was gonna, SARS still wasn't coming off, and Nobu was just gonna start sending as both, I suppose, at that stage to different like projects, and neither of us wanted that. And so Sean, again, because he was an amazing chef, he'd been offered a role with Taj as an executive chef, so an Indian hotel company. And the job was to move to a palace that floated in the middle of the lake in India, in
Oh, wow.
Udaipur. Yeah, so off we trotted again. Like,
Yeah,
imagine my
yeah.
mum, these conversations. Where I'm going to Shanghai. Nope, we're not going to Shanghai. I'm going to Mykonos. Wait, no, we're off to Samaras, and now I'm moving to India. So
Yeah,
my
come
mum,
back and eat your burnt roast. Come on.
she was at Bruton's Bakery in Grangetown going, I don't know where she is. So we went to India. We weren't, I think we must have been there for about 8 months. And again, he was working, I was dabbling, learning the wonderful culture of what India teaches you when you get to spend a long period of time there. And again, they were opening up a resort in Mauritius, a luxury resort. It was like these huge villas, very high end, and they couldn't find an executive chef. And I can remember coming into our bedroom in the palace and Sean saying, "We've got to move to Mauritius." And I said, "I don't want to. I was really enjoying India."
Oh, right. Okay. I thought you were going to say, oh, all right then.
Oh no,
Oh,
I really didn't want to.
right.
And he said it's not an option. We've got, it wasn't a choice. The company was moving us. So off we moved over to Mauritius, and I was devastated to leave India. I think I felt like there was something there that I hadn't yet fully tapped into about finding out more about myself and who I was, because I was still young at this stage. And we went to Mauritius again. They were struggling. We had to open about 6 or 7 outlets in a resort because it was so huge,
Yeah.
this resort, and there wasn't anybody to do it. And so I fell into that role again and opened the restaurants there. But it was tough. It was a really challenging opening. Not enough time. Not enough. It's island, so it's hard to get things in. Nobody was ready. The hours we were working were insane. Not because the company had. That was just what needed to be done in terms of this is when it's got to open by. And I didn't enjoy it going from like cultural sense overload of India to Mauritius, which is beautiful if you go in for like a 2-week holiday. It's stunning, but to live there,
Yeah.
it isn't much there apart from tourism. And I think also me and Sean were getting to the end of our relationship. He was a bit older than me, and I'd been following him around for a few years, and I think we were at different stages maybe of where we wanted to go, and I think it was time. I was exhausted, I was tired, and I think it was time to come home. And I think I wanted to start making a name for myself and not just off the back. Sean was very successful, and so I wanted my own success moving. Not that he would have taken it from me or anything like that. He was wonderful, but it was time to come home, and that's what we did.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably all manner of. It seems like this is a cross section of your life almost. That there's a lot of things in one moment that you're now beginning to possibly question about your direction, the direction of the relationship as a result of that. The
Yeah.
location that you're in is not, you don't feel connected to. So I suppose in many ways it is a very human thing to then look introspectively and go, okay, this is not quite working. So something has to change in some respects.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's interesting when you say, because sometimes when you look back now, because it is now over 20 years ago, I can't imagine that life. Like, I can't imagine getting up and doing breakfast on a white beach with, turquoise seas. And
God,
I
I
don't
can.
even know when you're in it. You actually realize, yeah, maybe I would now. Maybe I'd be more grateful present. I don't know what it would be, but I don't even think I was aware at the time. We were just in service, so you could
Yeah.
have been in Cardiff. We weren't paying attention. We were just having a tough opening, and I don't think the reality of the setting was actually aware.
Yeah.
Not that I remember.
No, I understand, and well done for comparing Cardiff to Mauritius, by the way. That's also maybe a first for the show. But it was a similar principle, I think, when I'd worked on ships for 5 years, and at the beginning I was a puppy dog, and I just, was just mesmerised by everything, because even living on a ship is a new thing, and
Yeah,
and the opportunity to wake up somewhere new every day was just beyond exciting. But at some point, there's a pivotal moment whereby that becomes less exciting, and
Yeah.
actually you crave other things. And that is probably just the benefit of age and experience. The fact is,
Yeah.
that you're, as you say, you're serving in the most beautiful surroundings you could possibly imagine, but you're not living that. You're not living you're not getting to I suppose fully experience the very best of what's offered, because, as you say, you just get captivated by the job and
Yeah.
the thing you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're so right. I never did ships. I always think, when you hear stories, they always come with stories. Yeah,
Without question, yes. I'm going to
yeah,
write
yeah.
an anonymous book one day, I think, perhaps on the stories. Not something you could ever put your name to, but
It always feels like there's naughtiness involved in people who went on ships.
well, I mean, just think about but to be very clear, I was 21 years old when I joined ships, and I, to this day, would say to anybody who wants to go and experience hospitality and the world that there is no better job to get started in, because
Wow.
it just teaches you so much. But, ultimately what you're talking about is a town's worth of population in a very condensed space. And
Wow.
that's intense, and there's no secrets. Everybody knows everybody's business. We had used to have this thing in the crew bar. If two people left together from the crew bar at 1 a.m. in the morning, you'd just get this almighty taxi shout from the other end. And but it's such an amazing time of life because of everything that it taught me. But it also, I wasn't a real life, because ultimately in the end I was having my bed made for me, my washing done for me. I wasn't ever cooking for myself, and all of the things which sound like, well, that sounds amazing, but yeah, at one
They
point,
form you.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, as a starter for a career, I can't imagine that there's a better job.
And you saying at the beginning, where you came from. I think travel is, we have this with our little one all the time, and he's only 9, and they talks about university or something. I went, when you haven't got to worry about any of that yet. I went, but also there's a big world out there that teaches you as much as you can get from education. I went,
Yeah,
travel is one of the greatest gifts to make sure you stay open-minded
for
and
sure.
understand that what you perceive to be is always wrong, and that I think it really taught me not to judge. And I would hope that would be one of my skills I have. I'm not someone who's judged. I'm curious. I pay attention. I think, and I believe culture and travel really taught me that what I perceived as what it was very different when you actually lived in it, went to see it, and understand it and understood it from the people who were from there.
Totally, totally. And as you quite rightly say, we just have, when you don't know and you have not experienced something, we have a pretty toxic trait of filling in the blanks from our own experience, which
Yeah,
tells you nothing about the other experience. And I definitely also, I remember going to countries when I was a 21-year-old, fresh faced, hadn't seen the world at all really, and going to countries that I'd been told are dangerous, and and all of that. I remember when we went to Panama City, there was all of these, family and friends were saying, "Oh, don't go off the ship. It's the most dangerous city in the world," and all of that. But the reality is that, of course, places like this have their places where you should avoid, but so does everywhere. And
yeah,
even we were just talking last night about, I live near a town called Bishop Stortford, and it is a lovely place to live, but it
yeah,
has places that you wouldn't probably venture out in, on your own. So what's different to that than Panama City, as an example? And I remember Vietnam as well. These perceptions I'd built up in my head, but then I remember the reality when you got there is that we were just engulfed by kindness.
yes,
It's just everywhere, and it kind of made me realize that all of the stuff that we see in the news and everything makes us believe that the big bad world out there is full of, for want of a better phrase, arseholes.
yeah,
And the reality is that I think 99% of all people are brilliant. And it's
yeah,
just that 1% of people that get the headlines.
yeah. And don't even get me started on politics. I'm a
I
socialist,
know we've
so
kind of gone there,
and
haven't
I
we?
Yeah, and that's the problem of it. Another nice segue in is I spent a lot of time after 2005. Well, I suppose from like 2009 onwards, going back and forth around the whole of the Middle East. And I think when again calling my mum, and she went, "Where are you off to?" And I went, "I'm off to Beirut." And she was like, "What are you doing?" I went, "I'm off to Beirut."
Yeah.
And Lebanon was the first of the Middle Eastern countries I would be lucky enough to spend time in, and they're very different. They get they all are very different and have their own wonderful madness and characteristics. And that thing of like the Lebanese are so generous and so kind, and they've gone through so much, but we see it as what we see only on the news. And even when I've been there, and my parents are seeing what's going on the news, we're living a very different life when we were there. And I think that's the Middle East in general, from the UAE to Qatar to Lebanon to Saudi. What we think is going to be is very, very different to what they are, and they're all very unique in their own ways.
Yeah, totally. Travel gave me my most liberating mindset, which is that
Exactly.
I know nothing about anything. And like when you realize that, it's like, okay, well, don't go and learn. Like you're here, don't take anything that you've read before, just go and experience it. And yes, be mindful of, take advice on the places to not go near and things like that. But we always had that advice at our fingertips because we were liaising with port agents the whole time when you're in, so we always were able to say, where's a restaurant that the locals would go to,
Yeah.
that the tourists won't know about and won't go anywhere
Yeah.
near. And then we'd
Oh,
go
the
there.
exciting ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it was, such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time of life.
And when I left Cardiff originally when I was 19, and I'm now 48. So it's nearly 30 years that I've been out to Cardiff, and always, whether traveling for work, I've always traveled with work, whether for a longer period of times, I've always based myself out of London. So I live in Brixton. Like, you live in a city that you've got to be sensible, and that's just the same for everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
You don't go down a dark lane at night time with nobody you don't know. Fine. Common sense takes you quite far when you're traveling.
Yes. Don't take the shortcut
Yeah,
through
exactly.
the dark
Exactly.
park or whatever. Yeah, there's probably some different stories there as well with that particular one. But anyway, yeah. So you completed your Mauritius journey. What happened next?
I came back and I started my 15 or 16 years stint with TGP, which was a consultancy company. So the guy who owns it, still owns it now, Simon Wright. He'd been the F&B director of St. Martin's Lane and Sanderson when I was in Asia to Cuba. And I ended up being, I think it was, the title was assistant manager when I left Asia to Cuba. And so he was like a big boss, but he had his own restaurant group, or was growing his own restaurant group at this moment in time, and started a consultancy company which would work with hotels on F&B strategy, concept development, or standards, I suppose, at that moment in time. And so when I came back in 2005, he said, "Do you want 3 days work?" And I said yes, and that took me up to April 1st, 2020. And so I worked and grew the company. So we went from really just being a couple of us in London, and we grew the company to an international company, consultancy company around the world. So we ended up with offices in Dubai, offices in London, and I run both. And I couldn't even tell you how I lost count when I got to opening of 50 restaurants and bar. And that was just one element of the business. Concept development was some, F&B strategy was some, growing the teams was another. And I suppose my key part of my job was always, if there was an area that needed to be grown in the business, I would head it up. Or if there was an area that needed, like there was a problem to be solved, I would go over to that bit and do that bit. So it was he was great at allowing my madness, I think, and knew that, and I think we were, for a period of time, a great team, because he was, if you think about it in colours, I'm very red and yellow, and he's probably red and blue. So it was a good collaboration. And then we grew when people grew and they grew up, and it moved a lot, and it was many different things over that whole period of time. But whether it was work in Europe, or whether it was work in the Middle East, or whether it was work in the UK itself, it was a huge learning curve every day, I suppose, always. And I'm beyond grateful that I got to experience all of that.
5-star hospitality means having the right people in the right place at the right time, and that's exactly where RotaCloud can help. RotaCloud is the online platform that makes planning rotas, recording attendance, and managing annual leave easy. Its simple, drag-and-drop interface lets you create and share rotas with your team in minutes, while our built-in budgeting tools mean you'll know exactly how much you're spending on staffing before sending the rota out. RotaCloud also makes life easier for your staff, allowing them to check their rotas, request time off, and pick up extra shifts, all through the RotaCloud mobile app. Start your 30-day free trial today by visiting rotacloud.com/Phil and find out how much easier managing your team can be.
Yeah, I mean, how many years in total?
15.
15, which tells its own story, because
Yeah.
I don't think you do anything for 15 years if there's not if you are doing something for 15 years and it's not got this big enjoyment thread going through it, then that's quite sad, in fact. But there was obviously something in the fact that maybe that you were able to, I don't know, experience all of these different brands and ideas, and then bring them to life as well. Maybe that's the thing that just kept you ticking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it was always different, so that was exciting. It was always 100 miles an hour. You were always on a plane going somewhere else. And
Different group of people every time, probably, as well.
well, this is where it led me to where I got to. I understood how you had to really understand and negotiate the people, the environment you were with. So who are the people, who in the environment, what is the context? And then it became quite you had to know a lot about psychology to be able to go, and where we made huge mistakes as well, and learning, which led on to why I went into leadership in the end, that understanding that it is complex, not simple. And you have to be able to understand all of it to be able to layer on top of each other, and personal mistakes. I think at times I am a force of a person every day. And at times that was not a good force. And at times it
Right.
would be a great force, and there would be inconsistencies with my stress levels, or what was going on at the time. And I really had done a lot of work on when am I at my best and when am I at my worst? What does that look like? And so in that, I realized that could be something that could be shared with other people along the way. So you have like this business element of complexity, you have that individual element of complexity, you have that team element of complexity, and how do they all fit together? Quite often we look at them individually, or one thing to solve, and they're not, they're all intertwined. And so I think all the learnings, mistakes, growth, maturity, and knowing that doesn't stop. That it's not like, yep, you've got it.
Got it.
Like,
Yep, life
yeah,
completed it. Thanks.
yeah. It always keeps moving, growing, evolving, and understanding that there isn't a book that's going to answer your questions of who you are at this moment in time. You've got to sort of find the answers yourself, and there's tips and tools you can use to try and help you. I think that's what led me through to how I got to here now. So it was like I got to study for 15 years on this, and I continue to study, but it was definitely an epic opportunity to take with
So,
wonderful people.
yeah. Well, I mean, knowledge comes from mistakes, right? That's basically. And so if you're making loads of mistakes, it can be quite stressful in the moment. But in the end, when you're able to take that moment to reflect backwards, that's when your life is a body of work, right? So you're able to then look at it and go, okay, actually, do you know what? I think I'm pretty good at this, and I think I'm pretty good at that. I know nothing about that or that, so I'm not going to go near that. And here is this new direction that I want to take. Yeah, there was a company in between which we call. I still to this day, every time I see it written down, I have to go code, and I don't know why. I don't even know how you pronounce it, but it's just the Q.
No, they Coot,
Coot.
Qoot. They invested in us, so it's sort of
Okay,
more. It was the same company.
right.
So Coot invested in TGP, and we got like absorbed. How it worked is they would basically buy brands. So they bought the license deal for Dominic Ansel, they bought the license deal for by Chloe from New York to London, and they bought TGP they invested in TGP. So it was the umbrella brand.
Right.
And so I still was with TGP, but they couldn't find a people. And I'm not from HR, I'm ops through and through. And they couldn't find a people director that sort of understood because they were coming out of Saudi Kuwait, UAE, London, that understand all the differences. It was a very unique business, and either people wanted huge teams and huge salary, which is maybe what it needed, and they kept on saying we can't. We were interviewing for the role for ages, and we couldn't find the right person, and so they had said, would I do it for a period of time just while we got it working? So I sort of shifted from the TGP element to the people director element of it, and I think we were misaligned at the time, and I'd been on a plane for many years by that point, and my partner had a son, and so I didn't biologically have children, but Zachary was in my life now, and he'd moved in, and I didn't want to be on a plane anymore, and it felt like a natural time to go, okay, I don't want to be traveling as much as I have been. And I think COVID gave us the opportunity of that. I knew the industry needed help with something, and I thought there was something I could offer it to help. So that's why Coot came in. They had invested in TGP not till about 2017. Maybe, yeah, it was about 2017. So I still was TGP through and through. I was just doing elements for them at the time.
Right. And that brings us to present day.
Yes, to crap leadership. Yes, it
let's
does.
let's talk about crap leadership.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, yes, where do you start? But yeah, well, how did that come about then? And also, how did you come up with the name and all of that? Because obviously it is a discussion point that we've already alluded to.
Well, QAB, it was a play on TGP, but I hadn't really thought it through that TGP was a consonant and QAB had a vowel in it. So that's where the confusion comes from. It is QAB leadership, but it sounds like people say quab leadership. And then like we said, it sounds like crap leadership. But it means Queen Alexandra's birdwing, which is a big and rare butterfly. And I think with me trying to be a bit creative, I realised it was it was like an epic finish to a biblical chapter for TGP. And I think I was trying to say that I was going to go into the chrysalis and then rebirth. I think that was the goal. Anyway, I should have just called it Michelle Moreno Leadership, but we'll get there one day. And I think COVID happened, and so it was a bit like a mix of I get to explore this wonderful side of a family that I never knew I was going to be gifted, plus falling apart with who is Michelle Moreno, the career person, at the same time. And I think for the first 2 years of it, even though I came up with the name straight away, I don't think I knew what the fuck I was doing. I think I was lost. I think I was unclear. I think I was disillusioned. I was lost. I was, as you're a woman going into an age, if you're not sure what that means as well, there's a lot. For everyone. There was a lot going on, and it probably took me to. And I just thought I'd studied. My brother is a professor at Goldsmiths University, and I had said I'm going to do a master's in occupational psychology. We've got time or something. And he was like, oh, for God's sake, Michelle, you're not stupid. You went, just go out and study yourself. You don't need to take the course. Because I wasn't working, so it wasn't like money was like, flooding through.
Sure, yes.
So I just used the opportunity to study and found out, because we're from a working class family in Cardiff. My mum pretty much stayed home until she realised my brother was bright, and then started cleaning, and then got an office job so my brother could go to university, and it would panned out well. And I just they were never worried about me. They were always like, she'll be fine in life, whatever she does.
It's definitely, there's parallels with my own life here, for sure. Not that my mum and dad neglected me at all, but they were very much like, oh, he needs less. Just let him do what he wants to do, kind of thing.
Good. I think parents are good when they understand what their kids are bright.
Well, it's like the ultimate compliment, really, isn't it? And actually, great leadership, if we want to break it down into realigning it to business somehow, is that they're to be able to identify that your kid is a bit special in his own little way.
Yeah.
That he doesn't. There's no pointing us telling him or trying to guide him to do something, because he's just going to go off and do his own thing. Is a wonderful compliment, and I'm very grateful that I had parents that allowed me to do that, and didn't go, no, you have to do this, you've got to keep on this path, because that would have been absolutely not me.
And you would have rebelled, and so you had them by your side. instead of shout out to your parents. We're saying hello to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and mine, they're my heroes. They didn't. I don't think they consciously thought it through, but they just went, run as fast as you can, and if you fall, we'll catch you, and then you'll go again. And I
Love
knew
it.
that's what they give and still do today.
Yeah.
They're beautiful human beings and pretty shy. My parents, how they got me, I don't know. And
You've been influenced by life, Michelle. That's what it is.
God, even my mum is like, she's very sweet. My mum very shy, and she goes, I don't even know where she came from, but they're they're wonderful, and we're all very
From the
very
heavens.
more like the hell my dad would go. Yeah, and so then I studied, and so I think in the need of COVID came out, I had a few people who'd said, we're just a bit lost at the moment, will you come in and help? And in a way, so 2 years, don't know what I'm doing, really lost, fully had lost my confidence in everything. 2 years of like, or maybe 18 months of going, okay, I think this might work, let's try and play it out. And then probably for the last 15 months, I'm clear on what it is, where we can help, not in cookie cutter in terms of what the conversation needs to be. And luckily, work seems to be impactful, helpful. People are enjoying it. People are coming back for more. People are recommending on. So at this moment in time, I'm. If you'd asked me 5 years ago that I was going to take this long, I would just shit myself and got a job. And I'm so glad you can't look into the future, and that you just keep going, you keep navigating, you keep thinking, what can I learn? What can, paying attention. For that, I've got to this moment now. But if you told me that this time 5 years ago that it was going to take this long, I would have been scared, and I wouldn't have maybe trusted myself. Though in the not knowing, I did trust myself, and I'm bloody proud of me,
Yeah.
I'm of that grit I have, and the absolutely blend. Well, why are we talking today? I didn't realize there was this community out there of wonderful. Let's bring up Miss Jo Harley, and
Well, because yes, now she is my esteemed leader, and
oh,
about to.
congratulations for joining that wonderful gang.
Yeah, and it's been, kind of, again, I'm going to talk about parallels really to your own journey and my own. And I don't know whether, because I'm 47 years old, so we're kind of similar generational.
I think I'm 47, but could be no, I'm 48 this month. I am 47.
Sure?
I'm the same age. Yeah, 77. Which year were you born?
78. Yes, right at the beginning,
But
though.
when?
Right at
Oh,
the
I
beginning.
see. Oh, all right. You've just had a birthday.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. I mean, we cover all the big topics on this show. The what month of the year are you born in? Yes. But I've been a recruiter for 20 years, and I would imagine, if I'm really, really honest with myself, I've probably been disengaged from being the best recruiter that I can be for probably since COVID.
Yeah.
I've ended up being, and this is why I kind of said earlier on around this point about, if you were doing something for 15 years because you can, not because you want to, that would be a very sad place to be. And that's ultimately for me what recruitment was becoming for me. I was doing it because I can, but not necessarily throwing myself 100% into every single thing that would come my way associated with it. And that's a dangerous place to be. So yeah, I mean, to get reinvigorated and reignited by a purpose which I think has always been there, but you just sometimes don't know it. Yeah. And this podcast has taught me a lot of things, as the wonderful Michael Tinksiger on Hospitality Mavericks puts it. Running a podcast like this is your own personal MBA, and I'd love that. Yeah. Much like your 15-year education at TGP.
Yeah.
So the one thing that the podcast taught me on the back of all of the conversations that I've had is that I had a really lofty idea with this show, is that I just wanted to fight back against the reputational issues that the industry seems to have, which, by the way, all other industries also have. But for some reason, we're the ones that get all the press about it, being, long hours, bad pay, blah, 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 the usual. Yeah. But in that, I suppose, came a higher purpose, for to sound whimsical, which is that actually it's one thing to attract people into the industry and to maybe try and change their hearts and minds around what they might believe to be the industry, but it's another thing to really look after them when they're here. And that's, for me, really, really speaks to who I am as a human being, and that's why I joined Carrero. In
Good.
very, very simplistic terms. And to be frank, and Joe probably knows this, did I understand 100% what the product did when I said yes? No, of course I didn't. But the key thing here is that you buy into the vision, you buy into the people, and you buy
Exactly.
into people's ability to see you for who you are. And
Oh.
all of that just came together. And I've got no doubt in my mind that we're going to do spectacular things together. And that's, it's exciting.
It's very exciting, and congratulations to you. And, I think that's the right thing. Your intuition tells you these are good people doing good stuff, and I want to be involved in it. And something in what I was doing needed redirection. So I always say, and I repeat this over, that life isn't about change, it's about evolution. And as human beings, we don't like change. It's uncertain over there, we don't want it. But evolution, we're great at. I get to take all the wisdom you have and I get to evolve it into something else which is personal in an environment with absolutely belter of women who should just be, if she's not the next L'Oreal, if hospitality did L'Oreal, we are rolling Joe Harley out.
She'll be listening to this as well, so I hope I
She's
still got a
fabulous.
job.
She's, no, of course.
Yeah.
She's loving having you, I think, And I think that whole element, I write daily on LinkedIn. And when I started writing on LinkedIn, because I felt like I'd lost community, and I realized that there's a huge community out there of wonderful people who were very supportive, which is why the company is QAB's got to where it's got to now, because of a lot of good, kind people who backed me when they didn't necessarily know me. And I'm beyond appreciative of that. And I started off on LinkedIn, like literally, like it was call to action, salesy. Whereas now, luckily, I don't need to do that. I write every single day at 9 o'clock of a piece of silliness, storytelling, leadership, something I've done, just as a gift back to if one person in a month reads something and it helps them, I'm good to go. And I'm now in a rhythm of it. And this morning I wrote, especially with the changes coming tomorrow with the 1st of April, this morning I wrote, which is something I have and which I use a lot, is the way we lead impacts the way people live. The way we lead impacts the way people live. But this morning I just put the way you lead impacts the way people live, because we have to take responsibility of what we, whether with the words you use, with care, with an understanding that they'll give you so much that you've got to give them too, So,
Yeah. Absolutely. And there's, leadership starts with self in the end. I guess really, there is. My old boy taught me. Oh boy, my father. Sorry, kill me for saying that. That ultimately nobody will go out there and do something for you. So you've got to take control of that yourself. And as you kind of alluded to, and if I kind of just roll back to the latter part of my journey to this point as well, there is a point where you go, yeah, I could do this, but for the rest of my working career, and I'll probably do okay out of it, and that's fine, and I can probably retire, and that's great. But would my 67-year-old self turn back to me and ask me the question, was there more that you could have done, or should you have done something else? And if I am answering that question right now by saying yes, without question, then it's definitely time to move. It's definitely time to change. And also kind of embrace the fact that if you don't necessarily fully know what that looks like, that can be exciting, and that can actually in itself be the catalyst for the change. And as you say, the word evolution, I think, is absolutely spot on. I read once that the average human being, if there is such a thing, reinvents themselves 5 times in their lifetime. So,
oh really?
Yeah, I don't know. I
feel
can't remember where I saw that, and it might be fictitious.
If that was true for me, I would probably be like every character of Steps, like every time just go another cheesy version with a dance move, moving it. And I think it's as we nearer the year to 50, and I think we're healthier than past generations have been. I don't want to stop. I got more to give. I want more to achieve. I work in an industry I bloody love with people I love, and I don't want to stop. But like when people say about I don't want to retire at 65 if it feels like this. Maybe I don't want to work as hard and go on more holidays and things like that. I'm not saying that, but I believe in our industry, and I believe in the opportunity it can give to people, and I want to be part of it, and I want to be somebody that people, that's my ego part of it. I want to be someone who's known for that. I want to be for the company, and I'm here for myself as well. I'm not deluded. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? I am
No,
playing the game for myself too.
but that's totally okay, right? It's like the systemic win is what we're looking for. Where
Yeah,
everyone in all transactions is winning,
yeah,
and
yeah,
somehow that's not the world in which we live at the moment. In terms of it's about you're in it for yourself. Don't forget that. And these are the lessons that we've been taught over the years about nobody will help you. You got to help yourself, and that's true. But
mm,
you can also give in that moment. It's not just about I'm in it for myself and that's it. I can be in it for myself and in it for
exactly.
somebody else at the same
Yeah,
time. God, we
exactly.
are solving problems today on a Monday morning. Dear me. I can't even remember what I was going to ask you next.
Uh,
We're probably near the end. Maybe, I don't
yeah.
know. Who knows? One thing, actually, you highlighted something which I think is also quite an important topic to maybe touch upon. This is we're still in the philosophical and leadership stage, so it's
Mm,
definitely it's more of that, which was the loss of confidence. Because I think this is somebody who in a moment where they'll find themselves where they think that they're unstoppable and confidence is high, is that they might think to themselves that that will be me forever. But the
yeah,
reality is that that's probably very difficult to achieve.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, the rekindling confidence is, I suppose, part of the change in evolution and reinvention of oneself. But where do you even get started in a moment whereby, because you have lived this? So
Hmm.
what was there a turning point where you started to change your thinking, change your direction, and how did you go about it?
I do lots of this, especially with women leaders, lots, because I feel like confidence is like the slim fast of the 90s, like it's a marketing tool sold to us to try and aspire to be, which it's not that people don't want to be confident, though it's an outcome, it's not a process. And so what I realized and now teach a lot on is that you've just got to focus on your competence, So do your learning, practice, work, try things out, experiment. And as the competence grows and increases, the confidence will naturally be the byproduct of it. So when you least feel confident, you've got to think, what am I good at, or what do I need to learn, or what do I need to work on? And if I keep taking them actions forward, it will come in the end of what confidence looks like in the true sense of confidence, that I have capability and competence, and not overconfidence with lack of competence.
Yeah, yeah,
The Dunning-Kruger effect, as it's called, and that's why I get really annoyed with the identity label of imposter syndrome, because it's put on you to keep you small and keep you in your place, and as if it's a label of identity. And all imposter syndrome is an intuition and an alarm bell going, you don't know how to do something yet. Thank fuck. I'm in a situation that I don't know how to do something yet, and so I am not confident. Fine, what do I need to work on to build my competence to be able to move me forward? And if I am feeling like an imposter and in that imposter syndrome, I'm probably in the right place. And it's not a negative thing, it's an empowering thing. And what do I need to learn? Who do I need to be around? What do I need to do? What actions do I need to take to be able to move it forward and not bathe in it? And
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I think the system's trying to do, is like keep us there bathing in it and wallowing in it, and not see it as the actual strength it is. And so I think my confidence continues on. I think, and also you need the ebb and flow. You can't just be like, I'm 100 miles an hour. It can't be like that always. There needs these moments of resets, like the seasons. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
We need the autumns. We need the springs. There needs to be shades of you through life. So though God, I didn't enjoy any of that bit, I really feel like it's given me more foundations than I realized I need. Lack of confidence would not be something anyone would have ever thought I sort of had, and true, they're correct. Though at that moment in time, I had lost all my foundations and I didn't know what it was. And then it was just about, as Oprah Winfrey says, what's the next right move? what is the next right move? And I just focused on that. What's the next right move? What's the next right move? What's the next right move? And we are here at this moment in time, feeling all right.
Very good. And to be clear, we're talking about a correct move, not an online estate agency. Because I was reinforcing that into my head. It was like the next right move. I wonder what it is. Purple bricks were here for a bit, but I don't know if they're as successful as they were. And
Oh, I love looking going on right move. You know, like picking a value and where I'd move to in London if
oh
I
yeah,
if I whatever it is got a load of money. So I love a
yes,
play on right move. But no, in terms of your next step,
yes, yeah, and I love that. I love that. It's almost like the very basic thing is just to almost take a step at a time, but just try and ensure that that step is the right one.
yeah,
And it's and I think that the other key part, like I've also been in a period of my life where I lost all confidence on the back of a redundancy back at when I turned 30. I look back on that time with such fondness now because, as you quite rightly say, that period of where you're totally outside of the comfort zone, didn't know where money was coming from, had just recently married, we'd pumped all of our money into the marriage and honeymoon, housing market collapsed, so we'd had zero, we had negative equity in our house, and all of a sudden that happened as well. And it's amazing what you learn about yourself when things are tough. And so now I know, having been through that being through that and reaching the low point is that I know now that I have the tools to be able to get past a lot of stuff when it comes my
yeah,
way. And that's massive. I mean, the power that brings is, it's that old cliche. Here we are. I mean, there's probably been 20 or 30 cliches in this podcast today already, actually. But here's another classic, which is that, this too shall pass, right? So
yeah.
the moment you find yourself in, whilst could be horrendously tough, is that the likelihood is that
This
it
too
shall
shall
pass.
pass. Yeah, and that is what resilience is. You know, it's not inherent. It's a muscle that's built, and it's the bounce back of the element of it. And so unless we are put in these moments to be able to be given the opportunity in challenging situations, we'll never have that resilience. So you need it to be able to go through the life and that understanding of this too shall pass. It will if you keep going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it just brings a level of humility to your own life then, where you're never, you can have confidence in your ability, but you're never too confident to not respect the fact
What
that,
you're in.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's the difference between confidence and arrogance, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
that you feel like you're unstoppable or nothing, and you understand that no, life is life. You don't know what's coming around that corner, and just be in it.
absolutely. Yes. There's something I want to just go back to in your story, which was something that you very kindly filled out on the form.
Oh God.
Which was a story involving the Sarah Jessica Parker. I mean, you've already mentioned Leonardo DiCaprio,
Oh yeah.
but yes, talk to us about losing one's glasses.
Well, it was in Nobu in Mykonos, and because the restaurant was around, still is in the Belvedere Hotel, it's around the pool, but I think it's more set now than it was back in 2003. So every night we would have to take all the tables downstairs into the garage, and I used to wear glasses. I got lasered years ago because I got mugged, but that's another story. Um, and I'd taken my glasses off, and we were bringing all the tables and chairs down. It was 2003, so it was in the height of Sex in the City. And Despina, a regular guest who used to come in, I could hear her going, Michelle, come here, Michelle, come here. And it would have been, 2, 3 in the morning, but it's Mykonos, so everything's late. No one eats dinner till 11 and things.
Yeah.
And as I went over, and it was pitch black, so I couldn't see, and she went, "Oh, this is Sarah Jessica." And as I looked, and then but everybody was moving the tables around, and because it was dark, no one was paying attention to realise that Sarah Jessica Parker was standing in the restaurant, and like I'm desperately trying to go, like everybody look, and I was, and still, like I'm a big Carrie Bradshaw fan, I just couldn't, I couldn't believe it. Anyway, she said hello very politely, very sweetly. She got moved on to another little bit. I went downstairs screaming at everyone, she's here, but nobody could understand me because I was so excited. And so everyone missed the opportunity. The funniest thing was the following night, we were doing the tables again, and I heard Despina again. And so she went, Michelle. And as I looked, you could tell that she was with two men. It wasn't a woman. And I was so excited to be able to share the story with somebody who'd actually been there. I came running up going, oh my God, I can't believe you brought in Sarah Jessica Parker, and talked at Thespina. And then when I looked right, it was Matthew Broderick. It was her husband. And he
Oh
was
my
just
God.
sitting there laughing, going, you were excited then? I went, oh, I'm so sorry, but I was so excited. And he was very, very kind. Right. So I met Sarah Jessica Parker, and I made a tit of myself in front of Matthew Broderick 2
Very
nights in
good.
a row.
These are inevitable stories, really, aren't they? And like when you do this for long enough, especially in the operations, like
Yeah,
you just bump into people. And
yeah.
I've told, I'm not going to tell the story again, but the very first Christmas special of the show, there's a story I tell there about meeting Sir Bob Geldof, which is not so. It's not like that's really lovely story. It's
Oh.
he was drunk, so and I made the papers. So there we are. That's all. There we go. That's intrigued you enough to go and listen, isn't it?
Yes, I will. And I never made the papers. I'd love to get them. My goal is, like, if I make it to the Daily Mail Dirty Sidebar, do you know what I mean? You know you've made it if you make it to the sidebar of the Daily Mail.
Yes,
One
I just
day,
want that
Phil,
picture of
one
me
day.
getting out of a taxi, or attempting to get out of a taxi. With my legs in the air. That's the dream, right? That's the dream. Yes.
Aim high in life. That's what I say.
Absolutely. Look, this has been like just a wonderful way for me to spend a Monday morning. Thank you so much for your time. You've got a wicked journey, notwithstanding all of the lessons that you very kindly shared through that journey with us today. And wish you all the very best with the next phase of QAB leadership. Because otherwise people will just start looking for, who's this Michelle at Crap Leadership?
Yeah, come for all of it. Come for all of it. And thank you, Phil. And you too. Enjoy this next evolutionary stage for yourself with wonderful people, and I'll be seeing you soon, I'm sure. Anyway.
I'm sure you're right. Take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And there we have it. What a blast I had with Michelle, an absolute fireball of energy, and what a fabulous journey she's had so far with so many amazing lessons. A massive thank you to her for giving up her time to the show. We will of course be back next week with another awesome journey from hospitality, so have yourselves a cracking week, and I'll see you then.